come down. I used to live in the now. Now I'm wiser to think that we are bulletproof. Teens with thicker skin, now we just bruise. We were hopeless and we're hopeless now. But I remember we threw our fists in the air singing. I remember when we were kids, never scared, yeah. And the sky went dark, we used our hearts to guide us. You showed me you care. And I remember.
Hello and welcome to tonight's stream. My name's Robert from Do a Drift Esports. I'll hand you over now to our commentary team, Zach and Nick.
And out of nowhere, we're on air. Good evening to you, Robert. Hi, everybody. I missed the memo that we're going live. Welcome to round 9 of season 2 of the GT3 series for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club Monday Night Motorsport. And if you've got some pizza and pasta sitting in front of you, then you are adequately fueled for the night ahead, because we are in Italy for the first time in quite a while. We are at the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, the circuit Imola, and we are ready to go for a critical round of the championship, the penultimate round of what's been a cracking GT series thus far. Nothing in it in the fight for top honours here between Brenton Hobson and Dennis Gaderick. But once again, Emmerich Candola is throwing his weight around here in qualifying for this critical race tonight. Welcome to you, Nick, and we've got a lot to get through in the lead up here, but the circuit at Imola here is one of your favourites, and in terms of history, but maybe not so much in terms of your own personal iRacing experience. Good evening to you.
Good evening. Yeah, it's going to be looks like it's pretty tight at the top there for this race. So, yeah, let's bring it on. I do like the reconfiguration, but I'm still not a fan of this track too much, unless you're in an open wheeler. But no, let's give these 10 tops a try.
Robert, we'll grab a live feed from you momentarily, please. Brenton Hobson on top of the timesheets at the moment, 142.874, 6 thousandths of a second clear of Emmerich Candola, 142.880. Then Dennis Gaderick to 143.069. So very tight between those top three, as we suspected it might be. Then Dennis Gaderick, Daniel Ackland, Zane Hills, Michael Schreier, Michael Hammond, Gary Cousins, Richard Hunter. Very competitive top 10 there. Don't worry about that. Looking down through the order, just having a look to see where our mate Jackson Rayhana is. He's sitting down 17th at the moment, so it's not a great night at the office for him, but this is a talking point, isn't it, Nick? As pictures come in courtesy of Do a Drift Esports here from the Imola circuit. Cameras beautifully set up by Adam Lavis, of course, and I'll get to the championship points in just a moment, but this is a talking point, isn't it? Obviously, the Achilles heel that has been the Mercedes since the Balance of Performance update, a circuit that we haven't raced on in either this season or the last season of the GT series. So track time's precious at the best of times for these guys. And it's the penultimate round of the season where you've really got to set yourself up with one eye towards double points next week.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, everybody will be going for bonuses tonight, so it looks like Brenton's going to pick up the 5 from the pole, unless somebody else beats him, but then everybody's going to try and go for 0 incidents as well. So it might be a conservative race, but who knows? There'll be guys throwing caution to the wind and just going all out.
Championship points look and show and tell the story for you. They look like there's 350 for Brenton Hobson, 345 for Dennis Gaderick, nothing in it at the top. 326 for Emmerich Candola, also an outside chance still. 298 for Jeff Connell, a real outside chance now. Ross Ponting 258. In fact, Connell's not even in the server tonight, so forget about that. 258 for Ponting. 242 for Cousins. Maverick Benson 233. Michael Schreier 226. So too Paul Wood. And rounding out the top 10, Richard Hunter on 219 points, just 2 points clear of Adam Lavis, who is 3 points clear of Jackson Rayhana. So look for Rayhana to try and move up tonight. So too Lavis into the top 10. You mentioned the reconfiguration, the Imola circuit. It's more of a reprofiling of not only the last corner, instead of being a chicane that's now just a kink, but also the pit lane is a lot longer here than it always used to be. And that's going to be an interesting point tonight, the transit time through the pit lane.
Yeah, well, I haven't practiced my pit lane entry, so that's going to be interesting now.
Good luck.
But, yeah, so a lot longer pit lane, a lot longer transit time, but also the front straight is not straight. It's got many kinks in it, so
Exactly.
racing room is going to need to be given. I'll get my language right eventually, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting event.
Indeed. Cars lining up behind the safety car now. Probably an opportune moment for us to have a look at the qualifying results for you. And this is no real surprise, I must say. Just as I went to run through the grid on the iRacing server, my race data has finally appeared on the screen. So Brenton Hobson and Emmerich Candola to share the front row, Dennis Gaderick and Daniel Ackland the second row, then Jamie Welch and Zane Hills the third row. Good qualifying performance from Welch. Michael Schreier and Michael Hammond the fourth row, Gary Cousins and Richard Hunter the fifth row, then Bevan Moyes and Ross Ponting the sixth row, Paul Wood and Maverick Benson the seventh row, Damon Mulqueen and Aaron Cooper the eighth row. Then we go back to Jackson Rayhana and Dave Trevathan, Chris Stark and also Warwick Sharp making up the top 20. Nick's in 21st, James Wilkins alongside him. And then you go back to Curtis Porter, Pete Matson, David Johnson and Jared Daly, the 26th that have clocked a lap time in that qualifying session. Joe Baldwin, Daniel Aish and Lazy Dave Farrelly have not clocked a lap time but are in the service, so we'll see if they line up on the grid here, although I'm reading on the right-hand side of my screen here that Daniel Aish has manually disconnected, so that would suggest that the field will be 28, provided the Baldwin and Farrelly take their their position on the grid. Nick, if you had to tip someone?
Jeez. After the last couple of weeks with those, basically the top 4, top 5, I mean, you can't, it's very hard to pick. I'm going to say a car with an 8 in the number, so probably either Dennis or Brenton. I'll lean towards Brenton this week.
Well, I was going to say it was either an 8 or a 4, wasn't it? Because if you hedged your bets with 4s, you'd be talking Amrit or Dennis. And with 8s, it's Brenton and Dennis. Daniel Ackland back on the grid, good to see. Zane Hill's back on the grid, good to see. Michael Schreier's been all right the last couple of weeks as well. And Michael Hammond's due for a result. The field moves away. Behind the course car, we are set to go, ladies and gentlemen. 45 minutes. And it is strictly a time race this week. They haven't put a lap number on it. So it is a time race and we are set to go. Great to have those of you tuning in on Do a Drift Esports via the Facebook page. Good to have you with us via Twitch and YouTube as well. Robert Hazeldine doing a nice job there, producing and directing all of the action. And of course, this is the new configured main straight that we were talking about as they come up now. They'll come up to speed, they'll get the green flag, they'll get the race underway. Round 9 of the GT3 Series on a Monday night. The Gentlemen Sim Racing Club for Ocular, for LJ Hooker Gander, for Central Coast Subaru, and also Flash Graphics, Greenham Racing at Imola. Nice start from Brenton Hobson to hold the lead on the run to turn 1. Candola was on his outside, Caderick the inside, but for the moment, Hobson leads them through. Caderick under pressure from Daniel Ackland there in the early stages. Truck cam shows and tells the story. Good start from a couple of Nick's teammates there, but unfortunately the 22 is going nowhere. That's Jamie Welch. He's already crashed into the fence. Thankfully, everybody managing to miss him, but not a good start for Welch after such a good effort in qualifying. So good to have so many of you tuning in for our broadcast tonight. The penultimate round of the season. Next week it's the Holy Grail. It's Bathurst. It's a 2-hour race. We've got a spinner at the back there. I hesitate to say, but I think that's Nick facing the wrong way.
Some people can't even crash properly.
Looked like he was punching off big time there, Zach.
I didn't actually see the punt. Speaking of trouble, have a look at that. Daniel Ackland in trouble. In the gravel. There on the exit of turn 10. They run up to 11 for the first time. Messy opening lap here. Michael Porter sits in race control tonight. He will have the ability to throw the yellow if he wishes, if he needs to. And unfortunately there, Daniel Ackland struggling to get back on the black stuff. So down they come for the first time. Maverick Benson an okay start. Closing up there on the tail of Paul Wood now. Gary Cousins ahead of him. Up the front of the field though, however, it's Mercedes, BMW and Ferrari leading the way. Across the start-finish line, one in the books. Standing lap time for Brenton Hobson. There's a little bit of info I'll try and get to you in just a moment, folks, as they make their way through for the first time. 144.2 for Brenton Hobson that time around. That's the first lap of the race. Will we see times come down from there? We'll wait and see. They were clocking, as we said earlier, in the 42s in qualifying. So 43, 44 should be the race pace here. Benson giving Cousins a hurry up, with Wood getting ahead of Cousins. And it's the battle for 8th, 9th and 10th you're having a look at there, ladies and gentlemen. As they make their way... Oh! That, Tommy. There's a car that's gone around again there to turn 7. Couldn't quite pick up who it was that time around. Turn 7's a trouble point on this circuit. In fact, there are a few trouble points on this track that we need to keep an eye on. Very difficult to overtake around this Imola circuit. And of course, for those of you not familiar with it, well, how could you not be? It's synonymous with world motorsport history for the right and the wrong reasons, unfortunately. Of course, we all remember 1994 when we think of this circuit, but the track itself, 4.91 kilometres, a total of 17 turns. The fuel limit tonight for these cars, 45%. Setup's identical to baseline, of course. The weather, partly cloudy. It was 26 degrees when I last looked at it, with the track temp of 45, so very warm track temps here tonight. That will be a talking point. Southerly winds at 13 kilometres an hour. And we should point out as well, if we do need the course car, safety car, it'll be 85 kilometres an hour, and pit speed limit is 60 kilometres an hour around here, which could catch a couple of people out tonight. Fast repair limit of 1, incident count 17 points, and then every 5 thereafter. And of course, we should point out that this is round 9 of the championship. Emmerich Candola has gone to the lead ahead of Dennis Gaderick. I'm just trying to work out why that has happened and where Brenton Hobson is.
He's in the lead still. He's 40 seconds behind me.
Okay, so that's just my graphics data letting me down. Yes, he's just been reinstalled on the screen there. So the live graphics here just having a little bit of a wobbly on me. That was to be expected. It's not a perfect system. We haven't nutted out the gremlins with it yet. So Hobson, Candola, Gaderick, Hammond and Schreier the top 5. Schreier trying to go with Hammond here. But the exciting thing here, for the first time this season, we've got 4 manufacturers in the top 4, with the Audi sitting there in 4th position right now. So Hobson, Candola, Gaderick, Hammond and Schreier, the top 5. There's Hammond, holding off Schreier at the moment. Richard Hunter in behind them. So Mercedes, BMW, Ferrari, Audi, Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, BMW, Mercedes and Ferrari, the top 10. So what's that? 3 Mercs, 4 Mercs, 3 Ferraris, 2 Bimmers and an Audi in the top 10 thus far. The Imola circuit will of course be home to a Formula 1 Grand Prix later in the season, instead of being intelligent and naming it the San Marino Grand Prix, because that's the circuit history. We've got and named it something else entirely. But we'll always think of it as the home of the San Marino Grand Prix. Now Dennis Gaderick really applying the pressure, putting the pressure on Emmerich Candola here. They're trying to go with Brenton Hobson, and this will be the test for the Merc actually, because we've documented over the last couple of weeks the trouble the Mercedes pilots have had dealing with the balance of performance update. They feel as though it's disadvantaged them, for lack of better words.
Unless you come and drive the Ford then.
Well, this is exactly right. They'll find out tonight whether that is the case, because Hobson is leading the way. And we've got Candola and Gaderick right on him at the moment. Whether they mount a challenge or just try and hang in there will depend on a various number of factors here, not least of which the Merc's ability to pull away. Will he be able to do that? Speaking of the Ford, there is Nick. Well, we had him on screen for a moment there. We've lost him now. So just running through the order, just down, there's Nick coming out of
Tosa.
turn 7, the Tosa corner up to Piratella. Let's ride on board. If anything happens at the front of the field, we will head back there. If we can take a bonnet shot or a onboard shot that is a little bit... yeah, that's it, Rob, thank you. Let's get Nick to talk us through a lap of this fantastic Italian circuit.
Up here, they've changed the chicane. I think it's very anti-alter. They've tightened it right up, so you can't blast through it really quick now, so you have to slow right down. Accelerate out, second gear, all the way across the top of this hill and down the other side to the houses that you can see there. They are expensive to rent from what I hear. Down into the Ravazza corner. Ravazza 1, plenty of curb on the exit. Ravazza 2, plenty of curb on the apex, plenty of curb on the exit. Pit lane entry off to our right. Both in second gear, by the way. Through the curvy front straight. Try and turn your wheel as minimal as possible. Through past the old chicane, past the new start finish line. Coming down into Tamburello. Modified corner from 1995 onwards.
Yep.
Third gear, try and avoid the bread loaves on the inside on both apexes. Third gear through here. Down the straight. There is a river that runs behind that right-hand wall there. That's why they can't extend the circuit. Braking for Villeneuve. Down the third gear. Avoid the bread loaves or hit them, depending how you go. Up to Tosa. Really good passing spot back in the day when there wasn't chicanes. Get a good run out of there, up the hill. Need as much momentum as possible. Up to Piratella. 90-degree right-hander, nice and fast. Plenty of runoff as well, so you can take a bit more of a chance. Then come down the hill, down the roller coaster into Acqua Minerale. Used to be a chicane back in the day. Nice fast entry into a tighter uphill chicane, which you once again need to carry momentum. Then back up the hill to Variante Alta. There's a lap.
Very nicely done, sir.
Thank you.
It's interesting just listening to what you're saying there. Talking about the circuit, its history, of course. That complex at the Tamburello, also the Villeneuve corner, both modified in 95 for the reasons we documented earlier, the tragic events of 94. The Variante Alla, though, that corner there, turn 11 and 12, the fact that they've tightened that up, that's going to be really interesting come Formula One time. Because they've not raced on it in that configuration, in that form.
If you're
and also
put
the
DRS down the hill.
Team on the main straight, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because without the chicane. Now, Maverick Benson's facing the wrong way at the moment, at the top of the hill. On the way through turn 8. Try and get back going now. But he's dropped a lot of positions in the process there. Gaderick, Hammond, Schreier, Hunter. Sorry, Hobson, Candola, Gaderick, Hammond, Schreier. Again, the live graphics just not wanting to be our friend tonight. Hunter, Ponting, Wood, Hills, and Rayhan are the top 10 at the moment. So that's the running order. Wilkins has already been in for a pit stop. We are on lap 6. Make that lap 7 now as the field crosses the line. Hobson doing a nice job in front, holding off Candola, who is the fastest car on the circuit, fastest lap of the race. A 1:43.648 here at the Imola circuit, which is not too bad. I mean, it's only about half a second than what Hobson did on the opening lap, and that gives you an indication of how much speed they were carrying when they got to the start-finish line for the green flag. Very warm track temperatures, that's going to be a talking point. Let me just dig up some more information that Paul Nichols actually sent through here a short while ago. It was with relation to the race here, 3.5 to 6 litres per lap. in terms of the fuel burn. 25, 26 laps is what we think we'll reach in terms of lap distance, but that depends on whether we get a safety car. Drivers have been very well behaved the last few weeks, Nick. We've not seen the safety car in the GT series.
I could do with one right now.
Well, do you exercise your right as an admin? I don't know. Now, 45% fuel, of course, so they'll need around 35 litres to get home. So there could well be a quick splash and dash here during this race. And of course, Paul Nichols will join us after the race. He's sitting in the Pro-Am server at the moment. We should point out next week we'll be with you from the earlier time, I believe, of 7 o'clock for the 7:20 start rather than 8:20. And what will be an awesome final round of the series. And it's going to be two for the price of one, because the Pro-Am drivers are going to come up and race with the Pro drivers in the main feed. So you'll get 50 cars on track when we get to Mount Panorama Bathurst next Monday night. But reminding you, that earlier start time of 7 p.m. So Home and Away gets put on record for that one, and I'll be watching it after the race broadcast instead of before. So looking forward to being with you next Monday night. And of course, Bathurst features prominently over the next couple of weeks here. Of course, we've already had one out in there on Friday night. We've got 3 of them coming your way next week. And we've got Oran Park, Road America and Watkins Glen coming up later this week as well. More broadcast details a little bit later on. And of course, Rob will update you as far as Dual Drift Esports Tuesday Night Motorsport is concerned, because the Glenline Series is continuing tomorrow night there too. Brenton Hobson doing a nice job holding off Emmerich Candola. They've gapped Dennis Gaderick by only about half a second, but Michael Hammond's going with them tonight. It's a 4-way fight at the front of the field, and pit stop transitions, pit stop strategies are going to be so critical, so pivotal, so crucial to the outcome of this race here tonight. But at the moment, Brenton Hobson remains in control. No word from race controllers yet as to if any drivers are being reviewed or penalised, which means everyone's behaving themselves, which is a really good sign of things to come. Across the start-finish line they go. The main straight here. Hobson, Candola, and Gaderick on board with Dennis Gaderick now through turn 1. I have to say, I don't mind the Imola circuit, because unlike some, they count their kinks. So what Nick was saying there earlier, a main straight here in Imola is a straight with 3 classified track corners. 16, 17 and 1, and you get down to 2 at the Tamburello.
I was just thinking, Zach, it's actually a beautiful day out there, isn't it? Look at the nice scenery and everything in this track. I haven't seen this track in iRacing yet. It's quite nice.
It's a marvellous Italian day. No real surprise there. Track time is of course around 1:28 according to the simulator here. We are 18 minutes into we're not quite 18 minutes into the race, but we are 18 minutes into the elapsed time of the event, because they spend a couple of minutes there getting ready to go, which you saw on the screen earlier. So 1:28. So they're not too far out of sync from the actual difference between Australia and the middle of Europe at the moment. In Italy right now, it would be 12:41 p.m. So it's only about 45, 46 minutes out, which isn't too bad. It's the closest we've had in relation to the difference in the reality between the sim and the real world in our series thus far. And of course, it's a beautiful day in Italy, Rob, because you know why?
Why is that, Zach?
Italy observes daylight saving. Mate, middle of summer, have a look at it. Isn't it beautiful? I had to get that one in there very, very early. So 4.91 kilometres this circuit. These guys lapping at around 1 minute 43 at the moment. Hobson leading Candola. Hobson and Candola exchanging fastest lap times here. Candola at 1:43.64 and Hobson at 1:43.7. Even Gaderick at 1:43.8. So that gives you an indication as to how close they are. Michael Hammond has maintained 4th place here. Only one minor incident thus far from what Michael Porter's reporting to me. Gary Cousins got into the back of Maverick Benson, and Gary has redressed that on track. So there should be no penalty as a result, but obviously that will explain why Maverick was facing the wrong way up at the top of the hill there a short while ago. Thank you for that, Michael. He's listening. He's watching the broadcast and tuning in, so that's great to see. So 28 minutes to go. Brenton Hobson doing a great job up front. And Rick Candolan behind them, Dennis Gaderick. And we are looking at the car in 16th position there at the moment. Dave Trevathan in the Ferrari. Just ahead of him is bear with me. The monitor's just doing its thing at the moment as they make their way around. The car behind him is, of course, the BMW of Jamie Welch, who had a great start with 5th place on the grid and then a shocker opening couple of laps, which saw him pushed down the order. Across the start-finish line again. That was Welch going around the outside and getting the job done. Didn't muck around there. So Hobson, Candola, Gaderick. Really good fight at the top of the field. And there are a few good tussles occurring right throughout the field. There always is on a Monday night. It'll be even better next week because we get our first look at the Pro-Am split as well. And we know what traffic's like at Mount Panorama, so really looking forward to that. Lap 11. Track cam. Have a look at that. How good. Watch the cars absolutely smash over the ripple strips there. In fact, that's a question that I have for Nick. Given when we were on board with you there, mate, we saw you using a lot of the AstroTurf on the right side of the ripple strips there. Are they a little bit more lenient, a little bit more friendly towards track limits here than say, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve?
Yeah. There's it's almost encouraged here in a sense. Like,
yeah.
You have to go quite a ways off to actually trigger it. But you stick to the rule of 2 wheels on the black stuff, and it should be okay.
All right. Now, cars in the lane. One of them is, of course, Dave Trevathan. James Wilkins is in. Aaron Cooper is in. Have a look at this. Pit lane, a flurry of activity right now. Looking good at the Imola circuit. And just an indication there, folks, of how long this pit lane is. Like, my goodness, they've doubled the length of it from back in the day. That's something the Formula One teams are going to have to get used to for the Grand Prix there at the end of October. That is going to be a very long transit through the pit lane. I mean, it's the same for everyone, but there's no way of shortcutting that anymore. Making it just, it's separate. Like, it is, there are 2 separate pit buildings there, but there's no way of separating it on the racetrack. So there's not 2 entry points. There's only 1 entry and 1 exit point, and that's going to be something that everyone's going to have to take into consideration. That was Nick going down nicely on the inside of Dave Trevathan. Very cleanly so. Here's Jackson Rayhana giving Zane Hills a hurry up at the moment. Rayhana doing a nice job. So these two are battling on the edge of the top 10 at the moment, 9th and 10th respectively. Zane Hills, good to have him back in the server. He's been a bit hit and miss this season. Now that New Zealand, well, unless you're in Auckland, New Zealand's out of lockdown. He's got a bit more of a social life back on a Monday night. He's into the pit lane. Rayhana continues on. We go across the line, riding on board with Jackson Rayhana now. I don't have time to play the PlayStation this week, but I think Project Cars 2, I know 3's hit the shelf, but 2 might get a workout on the Imola circuit because I forgot how good this is. Rayhana getting the hurry up here at the moment from Bevan Moyes in the number 20 entry. Hobson still leads. Candola their second. And Gaderick third, but even gaps between them at the moment. And they've left Michael Hammond behind. Ponting Hills, Ackland, Welch have all stopped. So too Benson, Matson and Cooper, Trevathan and Porter. Keeping an eye on who's stopped, who hasn't, because it's going to be an interesting talking point as night goes on. James Wilkins has also stopped as well, but whether he'll need to stop again and top up towards the back end of the race remains to be seen. Do a Drift Esports Monday Night Motorsport for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, courtesy of Oculair, LJ Hook again, Central Coast Subaru and Flash Graphics. Good to be with you. Stick around, our post-race show still to come later this evening, but we've got a fair bit of business to get through yet. Now the question's going to be, we're almost at the halfway mark in terms of race time rather than server time. Actually, we're bang on. We are bang on half race distance. Last time by the line, Brenton Hobson and co have started lap 14. They were back at the start-finish line in 22 minutes 34.883 seconds. That tells me that we're on track for, pending how long transit time is through the pit lane, 26 lap race here. Extraordinary pace early. Rayhana's in the lane. So too Gary Cousins, I believe. Don't forget to, if you're part of the sim racing community, join the Gentleman Sim Racing Club page on Facebook. Sign up as a member. Come and join in the fun of the fair that is Monday, Wednesday and Friday Night Motorsport on Do a Drift Esports. You won't be disappointed, and of course the next season schedule should be out very shortly, so we're looking forward to hopefully being able to confirm that for you next Monday night. Don't forget to like Do a Drift Esports while you're there on Facebook too, by the way. Just let Rob know that you are watching. Rob, let's find an onboard shot and just listen to how hard these things work around here and just appreciate the raw energy, the raw sound of these GT3 cars. And let's focus on this battle at the moment because Aaron Cooper's getting a real hurry up here. We're going on board with Daniel Ackland. He's fighting back after an early race incident. He's trying to get down on the inside. Good time to go to the onboard. He's trying to get down on the inside of Jamie Welch. He was unable to. And he'll continue to apply the pressure. Damon Mulqueen, Aaron Cooper just ahead as well. And Ackland off the road again. Not for the first time tonight. Not for the first time of that corner either, if memory serves. Extraordinary. Just have a listen to how hard this 375 of Daniel Ackland is working here tonight. In the BMW, of course, Mercedes and BMW well represented in this field, so too Ferrari, not so McLaren, Ford and Audi, but we are very lucky in the sense that we've got all 6 manufacturers in the top split. Nick sitting down there in the Ford, of course. In 20th position right now. Across the line we go. Lap 15 of what we believe will be a 26-27 lap race into the pit lane right now. Come Michael Schreier. Sorry, no, I apologise. Brenton Hobson. Just getting mixed up there. Nick's in the lane too, is he?
Yes, I am. Just leaving now.
Very nice. So, was that as far as you could go on the full tank?
No, you said 26 laps. So I went to lap 13 on for myself and just make it easier on myself. See how much I bet and just fill that up again.
Don't blame me if it goes to 27.
I got enough.
Oh, good.
Just got to catch the guys in front. Anything I can do.
That's it. $10 Hobson Garrick. Excuse me. We've been very lucky. We haven't had a safety car. It's been a very clean race by 2020 standards. Very clean, rather uneventful as well. Top end of town, just doing their thing and cruising off into the sunset.
Cameron has just jumped Brenton.
Now that's important to note. It's only just come up on my screen as well. Well spotted, Nick. If we can get a shot of our race leader, Emmerich Candola, the man with the fastest lap of the race, the number 4, has taken over the lead of this race from Brenton Hobson. There they are on your screen, coming out of turn 7, the Tosa corner on the way up to Piratella. That is an awesome bit of work from Emmerich Candola, but you've got to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, did he compromise himself in the pit stop to benefit himself on track? And if he didn't, let's make sure that he's fueled all the way.
Top 3 1 second apart each. 13, 14,
awesome,
15 seconds behind me.
So, do you feel as though you're going to go a lap down tonight?
I'm planning on it, but anyway.
Unlucky.
They're pulling 2 seconds out of me a lap, so...
The writing's on the wall, unfortunately for you, Nick.
Throw a safety car, someone, please.
Well, your pleas might be answered by Michael Porter. He's the only man with the ability to do so at the moment. Because...
Michael, if you can throw a safety car, that'd be great. Thanks, over.
Oh, dear. Again, no favouritism here at the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Very good stuff. Emmerich Candola leads. Brenton Hobson second. Dennis Gaderick third. Michael Hammond fourth, but a long way back off this fight now. Then Richard Hunter, Michael Schreier. Paul Wood sits 7th, Ross Ponting 8th, then Zane Hills and Bevan Moyes make up the top 10. Ray Hanna sits 11th. Just Hunter and Wood showing us not having stopped yet on my screen here. Everyone else has at least been into the pit lane. $15 and a half to go.
Amrit could have been sitting there saving fuel and just had to have to fuel up as much as Brenton as well.
Well, this is the yeah, exactly.
And the car's at different fuel burn rates as well.
And now, if he has been saving fuel and he's good to go to the finish, Brenton should be concerned because he hasn't been able to match him so far since that pit stop sequence. Candola has now, of course, clocked the fastest lap of the race as we say that. 1 minute 43.648 plays, 1:43.771 for Hobson. Gaderick on screen now. Just being gapped a little bit by Hobson and Candola. But still managing to go with them unlike the rest of the pack. Hammer's dropped 12 seconds on this pack. So we're inside, 15 minutes to go, 2/3 of the way there. Candola over Hobson, over Gaderick, Hammond, Hunter, Schreier, Wood, Ponting, Hills, and Moyes, the top 10. Rayhana 11th. Then Cooper, Welch, Ackland, and Cousins. Now, if you're not excited about world motorsport, like Formula One returning to this circuit, you're not human. It's going to be fantastic. Although I will say this, game makers around the world, particularly Formula One from Codemasters, they've got their work cut out for them to put some new circuits on their PlayStation 4 or onto their first PlayStation 5 release of the Formula One game. Because what we've seen so far has been less than flattering from them. Yes, Rob, are you chiming in there?
Yeah, Zach, I was going to say that I think that a lot of the new video games coming out are just going to have houses, and you can like sit there where racetracks used to be, simulating the real world, unfortunately.
Exactly.
You can even put a noise complaint into your local council. It's a really good simulation coming out on PS5.
Hobson's picked up to $10. Sorry to cut in there to $7.
That's right.
Now.
I was going to say, there are some people that should not ever find out about that even being an idea or a suggestion. I know we're just taking the you-know-what, but fair income, some people would be silly enough to run with that. 2020 is a perfect example of common sense and intelligence not going hand in hand.
My theory is, Zach, if we give them a simulation, then they can leave the real racetracks alone, because they can, you know...
That would be nice. Up the hill, Gaderick closing on Hobson, who's closing on Candola. Lots to be excited about here.
Yeah, it's closed right up now, hasn't it?
It has.
I don't know if you saw, Zach, before while we were chatting, Hobson was getting a bit squirrely in the back end.
Yes, and this is interesting because Paul Nichols raised this before the race. He said the cars are going to skate around because the track's so hot. Have you had issues with that regard, Nick?
Oh yeah. It's good though. It puts a bit of realism into it. When it's cold and overcast, they just stick, and that's a bit boring. Plus, I'm closing a gap down now, and so I've got to push hard, but not super duper hard. Because if I do, I'm just going to burn the tyres off the thing.
Lap 20, so about 7 laps to go here. Maybe just a little bit more, who knows? No, I think it'll be 7th. So, Candola, Hobson, Gaderick, Hunter, then Hammond, Schreier. Sorry, I think it will be 6 laps after this one. I don't think we'll get any more than that, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think we'll get a 7th. So, 26 looks like it will be the magic number, and that's something that Nick was worried about when he went in for his pit stop there, but he's got plenty of fuel to get through.
Yeah, I've got 10 laps of fuel.
Oh, I tell you what, Hobson hung it out there. He was very taily coming up over the top there through turn 8. And he kept it on the black stuff. Over the rise down to the chicane, 11 and 12, down the hill to Ravazza. The ocular shot shows and tells the story for you. Cracking race this one has been. It doesn't matter whether you got 15 or 5 or 3 going for the lead. Whenever there's a battle at the head of the field, it dominates our attention for all the right reasons. Across the line, they'll come again. Just have a look at how long that pit lane is now. It's like they're planning to host 100 cars.
Good for endurance racing.
Well, this is exactly right. Unfortunately, this is more like an endurance sprint, but I get your point. 3, 2, 3, and then 4 on the run down to 5. Villeneuve chicane. So Candola doing a nice job here of pushing off the aggression from
He's just
behind.
controlling the gap. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just had a brain fade. Then it's been a long day with radio commitments here at Ipswich, so I've just started to hit the wall as we go here. But we'll soldier on through to the end of the race. We might just keep the post race short tonight. But yeah, he's doing a tremendous job of maintaining the gap and just answering the challenge, responding to the pressure that's mounting behind him, and not letting it get to him. He hasn't thrown it away. He hasn't done anything silly. So therefore, Candola, Hobson, Gaderick and Hunter, the top 4. Now that's important. Hunter has got by Hammond, but Hunter, according to our chart, he has not stopped as yet. Which is, if he's got 20 laps through tank, I'll be very
He'll be
impressed.
pushing it, yeah.
It might just be another glitch at our end. Across the line we go. Six laps to go. Or 5, I should say now. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Yeah, that's it. That's all we're going to get. There are 8 3/4 minutes left in this race. They're lapping at 1 3/4, or there or thereabouts, which gets you 8 3/4, 9 1/4. So yeah, we're going to be about half a minute over that 45-minute mark on lap 26. But that's going to be the magic number tonight for anyone that was playing bingo at home. That's your number. Candola, Hobson, Gaderick. We're riding with Jackson Rayhana, and Rayhana is trying to put the pressure on Paul Wood. And unable to get through at this point. But if Rayhana can answer the challenge here, he will move his way up the field into 16th position. It says 17th on my monitor now. I'm just I'm a little bit confused by that. I've got to have a better look and see who's in front of him.
1 second covers the top 3 now.
Exciting battle at the front. We'll get to that in just a moment. Make no mistake. We're loving everything we're bringing you here tonight for the Gentleman Sim Racing Club on Do a Drift Esports. 1.008 covers the top 3 at the line. Just looking further down the order. Candola, Hobson, Gaderick, Hunter. I got my hose and my hubs mixed up there. So that's interesting. Hobson, Gaderick, Hunter, 2, 3, 4. Hammond is 5th. Schreier is 6th. Then Ross Ponting, Paul Wood, Maverick Benson, and Dave Trevathan, showing us the top 10 of the race at this point in time. Rayhana showing us at 11th, but depending on which screen you look at. And I'm not sure if Rob's having the same issues with timing as I am tonight. But we're both trying to use live updated graphics that operate as the race goes rather than just at the completion of every single lap. But have a look at this. Gaderick putting the pressure on Brenton Hobson now. Is this where the Ferrari comes to its own? Is this where Hobson and Gaderick start to mount a challenge and put the pressure on Candola? Is this where we start to see a 3-way fight of dueling for track position and the race win? Just comment coming through from Michael Porter for you, Nick. He would love to give you a safety car, but he's not sure he can deal with the fallout. So hard luck there.
Fair enough.
Just getting a message through here, and I'll. All it says is, and I thank Aussie 018 for sending it through, that Hobson is really tight for fuel. So watch that base. Well, this is right. When isn't he, for one? But two, it could be the difference tonight because he and Emmerich Candola have been duking this out from the get-go. Candola's had the lead ever since the pit stop sequence concluded. But can Hobson go with him because of what was just mentioned there? And if he can't, will that help Dennis Gaderick out? And who of these guys is on 0 incident points? That's the information that I don't have on my little lap board here at the moment, but I'll track it down post-race.
What's the point difference coming into this round between Hobson and Gaderick?
You can count it on 5 fingers.
Okay. But then Hobson's at the pole, so there's 5.
Yep. So that's 10.
You can probably let him past.
He could probably, yeah, absolutely. But who has had a clean race between them? That's what we need to have a look at. So lap 24 is behind us. We're going to get back to the line. 2 laps to go. 3.5 minutes of racing to come. 42 minutes and 28 seconds last time by the line for Emmerich Candola. He's gapped Brenton Hobson and Dennis Gaderick now. He's put 0.9 of a second between himself and second. Candola could be walking away with this. Can Gaderick find a way past Hobson, or is Hobson making that Merc as wide as he possibly can? Let's wait and see. The aerial shot shows and tells the story for you. A cracking finish in store for us here. A cracking fight for the final 2 spots on the podium. And now lap traffic playing a part as well. Candola not balked by any of that. Hobson and then Gaderick getting through unimpeded as well. Again, the 3 dominant manufacturers of this championship. BMW, Mercedes, Ferrari dominating here. And they're about to put a lap on Nick here. He's getting up into the chicane there at 11 and 12. A run down to 13, 14 and 15. Gaderick still following Hobson. Candola's there as well. Nothing in this Monday night Motorsport Tour Drift Esports. The Imola circuit. Hobson wide on the exit of 14. That allowed Gaderick right up onto his tail, but it also allowed Candola to sneak away and put a few car lengths between himself and Hobson, and now down the inside goes Gaderick, but unfortunately that puts him on the outside for turn 2. Last lap in Italy. 3 wide on the run to 1 as they go past Nick, the lap traffic there. They're 1.9 seconds behind Emmerich Candola. Forget about it. The BMW is about to get a second win of the season. Through they go, down the short chute towards the Villeneuve chicane for the last time. Hobson was able to hold the inside line at the Tamburello, and that might just serve him well in the run to the checkered flag, unless Gaderick can get a run off turn 14 and 15 like he did last time.
Yeah, he just got a bad run out of Tosa there coming up the hill. Just got a little bit sideways.
And that could be to the benefit of Hobson here, no doubt about that. Nick's, of course, following these 2 immediately behind at the moment.
I feel like I'm in 4th.
That's it. He'll spot it as soon as we do. Gaderick closes right up under brakes. We're on the run to the line. Clock expires. This is literally it. It's going to be a 46-minute race or thereabouts. The checkered flag will fly this time by. BMW are going to get back in the winner's circle, but we can't take our eyes off this battle for second. We knew the Merc would be up against it here at the Imola circuit, but we didn't know what the Ferrari was going to be capable of. Into the last couple of corners they come. Emmerich Candola gets his second win of the championship. Very nicely done. He's still in contention when we get to Bathurst next Monday night. Emmerich wins Imola. Second to Hobson, third to Gaderick, only 0.4 of a second in it in the end. Fourth place is going to go to Richard Hunter ahead of Michael Hammond. So 4 different manufacturers in the top 5. Going back down through the order, Michael Schreier next through in 6th position. Ross Ponting, Paul Wood, Zane Hills and Bevan Moyes will round out the top 10. Unless Jackson Rayhana can do something about Bevan Moyes in the run to the line, but I doubt that's going to be the case. It'll be Rayhana in 11th. And again, the Mercs unable to get the job done, unable to get the win. But so well represented inside the top 10. Hobson, Schreier, Wood, Moyes, all in there in the top 10. So it's about 5 Mercs in the 10. A Bimmer and a few Ferraris. And of course the Audi of Michael Hammond. Candola, Hobson, Ben Gaderick, who's in the sand at the top of the hill doing some circle work at the moment. Richard Hunter, have a look at how picturesque that is. Credit to, I must admit, this is where iRacing excels, isn't it? Those aerial shots that we're able to give you, just showing the surrounds of the circuit. Yes, there's a lot of detail in that, but the effort that goes in to make it look and feel as real as possible, it's a great testament to them. So Emmerich Candola from Brenton Hobson, 45 minutes and 58 seconds in the end. He won it by 1.5 seconds. Hobson, Gaderick, Hunter, and Hammer Time Hammond. Schreier, Ponting, Wood, Hills, Moyes, the top 10. Rayhana, Benson, Cooper, Trevathan, and Mulqueen outside. They make up the top 15. Then we go down to Sharp, Porter, Stark, Cousins, Welch, making up the top 20. All that top 20 home on the lead lap. Nick was home in 21st. The first of the cars are up down. 22nd was Pete Matson, then Dave Johnson. Then we went back to Laser Dave Farrelly, and then all the retirements here listed below. Trucker Joe Baldwin, Ben Daniel Ackland, James Wilkins, Jared Daly, and of course Daniel Aish, the non-starter. So of the 28 cars, 24 got home. 2 of them a lap down, 2 of them 2 laps down, and that then is that. Your thoughts on all of that, Nick? Again, Emmerich Candola throwing the cat amongst the pigeons. The championship fight, it's in Hobbo's favour going into next week, but by gee, you only need something to go wrong for Hobson and Gaderick, and poor old Candola's going to be the sting in the tail.
Yeah, next week's going to be a bit like a NASCAR race. Just got to keep an eye on your opposition and try and finish. I don't know where he's got to finish, but yeah, interesting race. I could see them for most of the race behind me, so on my timing monitor. So my job was to try and keep ahead of them, but alas, that didn't happen. But anyway, yeah, the 3 couldn't separate them. Cigarette paper at all, kind of thing. You couldn't get nothing between them.
And not for the first time in this series.
Yeah, exactly.
Not for the first time in this series. Not as good as Barber, but still an equally good race.
Exactly.
I mean, Barber set the standard for the year, and there was a 5-way fight for the win. But if you were to have a look at your fights for the win this season, there've been few and far between. It's either been Gaderick by a country mile, or Hobbo by a country mile, or Candola by a country mile tonight. 3-way fight for the win. That's what we like to see.
If I put in 7 litres less, I would have probably stayed in front of them just. But anyway.
Not to worry, mate. You still got home, and that's the main thing. Amassed some championship points there, and now we'll get ready to chat to some drivers post-race here as soon as they join us. A stack of them sitting in the green room at the moment, including Pariana Starkus, who is, of course, in the Pro-Am split. Dave Farrelly's in there. Brenton Hobson. Looking forward to this as well. Now, so many drivers coming in to join us in the green room here, which is really good to see.
Might have to keep this one quick.
Well, this is the thing. There are so... yes. Now, I'll get some guidance from who's who in just a moment, but I send you my way around here. Yanni's in the room from our Pro-Am split. So too Pariana Starkus. Let's start there. Paul Nichols is back with us as well, also from the Pro-Am split. I'll start with you, Nico. How'd the Pro-Am server go tonight, mate?
That was one of the best races I've been in probably, 6 months. That was incredible fun. Like really good racing by everyone across the field. I was, I think I started P9 or 10 or something, finished P4, but some cracking racing up front. Awesome racing. So I'll send you the results in a minute.
All right, beautiful. Look forward to getting the results. In the meantime, I'll go to Pariana Starker. She must be really looking forward to showing off the Pro-Am split next week in the top server here in the broadcast, because we're combining Pro and Pro-Am for an all-out assault on the mountain, mate. Good evening to you.
How are you, Zach? I hope it's not like tonight's race. I could not do this for 2 hours straight. Paul had me on the ropes at the end. Joshua was all over me, but he made a mistake. Todd was, it was just, the race was never ending from the start to the finish. It was just an amazing race. I had no crew chief, so I had to refuel manually. I've never done that, and I'm in a VR headset. I lost my rhythm, but it was an amazing race. Well done, guys.
And I was going to say thank you to you, Parry, because she sent me through some educational guidance earlier this afternoon. Yanni's in the house, and I'm going to try and get this right. So to Rio, is that right? Am I on the money?
You're on the money, buddy. That's good.
I'm on the money. All right, good. Because Parry's taught me well. Mate, tell us about the Pro-Am split from your standpoint, your vantage point this evening.
Oh, geez. That was a race and a half. I managed to get out on top, which was good, but Ben was literally right there the whole race. I actually made a mistake going into one of the corners and spun. So he got ahead, and then we're trying to chase him down. Went through the pit stops. I think I caught up about a second there, and then he did the half spin, and I was able to catch him again. But by no means was that a straightforward race by any stretch of the imagination. It was good fun.
Thanks to Paul Nichols, we've got the results here for you. It was Yanni by 5.4 seconds over Richard Mitchum, who's in the chat thread, ready to have a chat to us. Pariana Starkus and Paul Nichols, third and fourth, 0.6 of a second is all that separated them. Ben Miller was fifth, Todd Parks, Andrew Goldman, then Matthew Austin, Scott Griffiths and Chris Polly making up the top 10 there. Grant Gill was 11th. Once Adam Lavis crunches the numbers for us, and I'm not sure if that's going to be doable tonight because I haven't seen him in the server in the thread anyway.
Yeah, I think he's working tonight. So
okay, so we won't have live updated championship standings for you, but what we'll do, Adam's directing and broadcasting the broadcast for us, or directing and producing, I should say, the broadcast for us. I'll get there eventually. Fair income on Wednesday night, so we'll make a note to mention the GT updated standings on Wednesday night for you in the broadcast there of the up-and-comers, and also TCR and GT4. Richard Mitchum, good to have you in the chat thread for the first time in this series. Tell us about the race from your standpoint, mate. Obviously not quite able to go with Yardi, but second by a fair stretch.
Yeah, no, it was actually a good race. It was poor preparation from my side. I'd been doing Bathurst all week and was quite ready for that, and then realised it was Imola. So when I jumped on at the start of quali, I was like, damn it, I better learn this track pretty fast. But fortunately, at the end of quali, pulled together an okay lap, so qualied fifth, and then got a really good start, so got into third. And obviously, Yanni and Ben are the pace setters in this series. But this is second week in a row, got second off the back of a couple of mistakes. So yeah, solid result. Saw Yanni's span drop behind me, but I was like, he's got much better pace, so I just let him back past to make sure that the guys behind me didn't catch up, because I know, yeah, so like Parry and Josh, they had similar sort of pace to me, but just a nice and clean race, managed to bag a second, so pretty happy with that.
Indeed. And on the subject of Bathurst, you obviously seem very well prepared for next week, but what's the mindset when something like that happens, where you're preparing for one track, then you've got to go on back and prepare for a totally different track? And let's be honest, they are worlds apart, Mount Panorama and the Imola circuit here in Italy. Now, you put your focus back on Bathurst. Do you have to go back and refresh again, or is that pretty much still sitting at the top of your mind?
Well, I've got to say this track suits me a lot better. Okay. I struggle with Bathurst massively. I'm a POM, so not done the laps that most of the guys around this track in the rest of the chat have done around Bathurst. So no, I'm definitely on the back foot, so definitely need the practice around there. So tracks like this, I'm much more comfortable with.
So when Okay. I was just going to say, I've just got a message from Paul Nichols. I was about to ask you, where are you based? And he tells me Singapore, yeah?
Yeah, I'm based in Singapore. I've been here 4 years, but I used to race back in the UK. So Silverstone was my home track. So if we could just race there every week, that would be great. Because I worked as a race driving instructor there for 7 years. So I've done plenty of laps around that in all sorts of cars. So I'm quite pleased that the next series, the quali race, is around there and not around Bathurst. When the start of this series, I jumped on to Bathurst on iRacing. I've been on iRacing for about 2 weeks and jumped on, so didn't qualify very well, and hence in the lower splits. But it's been awesome fun, actually. Really well organised. I've really enjoyed it.
And on that note, a huge shout out because the Gentleman Sim Racing Club is going international. A Pommy driver in an Asian market. How's Singapore dealing with COVID, mate?
Yeah, it's not too bad. We had lockdown for a while, but we can go out for dinner most nights. It's open till everything's open till like 10:30. It's not doing too bad. I was planning on spending a week a month in Australia this year, but obviously that's not happening. So the only downside is the lack of travel.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm hearing you, and that's not just in countries; that's in states of countries as well. Let's not get there though. It's too early in the night. And on your point about being able to go out until about 10:30, you've still got about 3 hours to go out and have a feed. So happy days.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Good to have you on board, mate. Stick there because I want to touch on next week as far as the Pro-Am split is concerned in just a moment. I'll go to you, Yanni. The fact that it's 2 hours, the fact that the Pro-Ams join in the Pro split, you're in the broadcast, is there added pressure? Is there added nerves going into that, knowing that there's going to be obviously some faster guys ahead of you, but also this multi-class aspect to next week in the sense that there's going to be a lot more traffic, a lot more congestion, a lot more pressure, and titles are on the line.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to having the mix, to be honest. So that should be good fun. Hopefully we can battle up at the top somewhere. So I'm a bit like Richard, where I've been practicing Bathurst because it's been on VRS all week. So that's why Imola was a bit wasn't too sure about it. But look, I think judging by the racing that we've had over the last few weeks, everyone knows what needs to be done. We're not going to be making stupid, passing opportunities on lap 2 of a 2-hour race. It's going to be one of just endurance and making sure you can get to the end of the line. But, so the race will basically start from the last pit stop. So everything else will not matter, really. So it's all about getting to the end.
Your thoughts on that as well, Rich?
I mean, echo Yanni's thoughts, but I think that's wishful thinking around there, right? It's more about dodging other people's accidents than keeping out of trouble yourself. I did the 3-hour on Saturday, and we had 45 minutes of damage before I got in the car. So it's one of those. It's just making sure that you try and dodge, but there's not much room. So it's you're in the bit of the lap of the gods in that track.
I was going to go to Paul Nichols, but he has actually got himself on mute at the moment, so I'll come back to him very shortly, and also Nick when he comes back into the chat server as well. Parry and Astarkas has already left the chat server, so we'll catch up with him next week as well. Boys, well done tonight. As I say, I've only got the race results. I can't give you a championship update, but I know Yanni's sitting pretty at the top of the standings and has been for a few weeks, so we'll see if he can bring it home next week in the Pro-Am split. And Rich, good to have you on board for the first time as well, boys. Enjoy the rest of your week, and look forward to chatting same time, same place next week, albeit, on a different racetrack, completely different racetrack, and championships on the line.
Cheers, and well done, Yanni.
Yep, likewise, Rich. And thanks, Zach. We'll speak to you all next week. Yeah. Cheers.
As I say, Pro-Ams with the pros next Monday night. A little bit of extra content for us here on Dual Drift Esports for Monday Night Motorsport, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. The final round, double points on the line. And as I say, good to have Rich on board for the first time from Singapore there as part of the international band of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And as I say, that's the great thing about sim racing. We're able to connect from all corners of the globe and go racing on some of the best tracks in the world in the virtual sense. Now, let's talk about what was an awesome race in the Pro split. And let me start with We haven't got Emmerich Candola in here, but we have got Brenton Hobson in second. We spoke about this on Friday night, mate. The Merc and the balance of performance update. Was that the downfall tonight, or were you just not able to get there with Emmerich? I mean, you held the lead for the opening half of the race. Do you feel as though he might have been saving something to bring it home strong?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was close enough behind that he could probably save a little bit of fuel in the draft. I think the Beamer sort of tends to lean itself towards being a bit more economical too. So a bit short of stop for him, and he just jumped me. I heard him drop off the Jackson go, so I just stopped fueling and went, and I was so borderline on fuel, as I tend to be in every race. So I was a little bit tight there on fuel. With 4 laps to go, my timing changed like it did in the TCR cars on Friday night. It changed and said there was going to be an extra lap, and I was a whole lap short with 4 laps to go. And then half a lap later, it changed back. So it threw me off. I lost like a second, and I just couldn't get back close enough to really challenge him, which is a shame. But it was a cracking race, though. It was nice to have a competitive car for a change.
Well, this is true. You also were under serious pressure there on the last lap and a half from Dennis Gaderick as well. Did well to hold him off.
Yeah, well, I did a good job of trying my hardest to give it to him at must have been the end of the second or third last lap. I just about ripped it at the second last corner. Didn't make a mistake there all race, and then right on cue, coughed it up nearly all at the end. But we were pretty good in a couple of spots. We were good enough in a couple of spots to be able to defend where it was important. I just knew I had to just not make any errors, which I'm usually really good at, but that one almost cost me big time. The Imola circuit as a whole, great circuit, legendary track, so much history, but seemed really difficult for overtaking. I was quite surprised by the lack of effect the draft was having on the main straight. The first couple laps, when you're right up under the car, it seemed to be okay, but I mean, I was at half a second back and not gaining, so I was surprised that we didn't see more effect from the draft, because if you do, you've got a massive straight there, so that's your big opportunity to pass into turn 1 normally, but it wasn't really that viable of an option tonight, which was surprising. So you've got the sort of the hairpin there at turn 5 6, whatever it is. It's not a bad spot. If you're desperate, you can have a lunge at the tight chicane on top of the hill and one into the second last corner. So there's a few spots, but you really have to get a run. And I mean, credit to the 2 guys that I was racing around, that neither of them made any mistakes. They were very, very consistent and fast. A couple of tenths here and there if you sort of missed an apex by a bit, but there was no considerable mistakes. I made more than everybody, really. So it was very hard to get a pass done or make any moves. I was just trying to pressure Amrit, basically force him into an error, but he just rock solid.
Indeed he was, and obviously you've still got the championship lead. It's a narrow margin, double points next week. There's so much on the line, but you've got proven form at a racetrack that you love so much.
Correct, yeah. So I don't know how the points work in this series, how many drop rounds there are. Then someone may be able to confirm that for me. But if there's 1 drop round, it's going to be very close. If there's 2 drop rounds, I'm going to have very close next week. I'll be behind. But picked up bonus points for pole tonight. I was desperate to not get any incidents and get another 5 bonus points here too. And then about lap 2 or 3, Amrit sent one down on me at turn 1, and I just trundled off the outside of the track and picked one up straight away, which upset me quite a lot. So it was full attack from then on, which was good for the race, but frustrating all the same. But I mean, I still managed to get the 5 points for the pole and outposition Dennis by a spot, so I'll get a few more points there as well. So a good round for us, but it depends how the drop rounds work. Our issue is that we're actually very consistent. I think our worst result is 4th, whereas his worst result's quite a lot worse. So if the drop rounds come into it, he makes big gains in the points, basically. So I didn't realise next week is double points. That gives me half a chance perhaps, but I guess we'll see.
It's interesting you say that, because I know there's a drop round system in the stock cars, but I'm not across it as far as the GTs are concerned.
I don't think there is, Zach. Next season we're going to have drop rounds, probably 2, but this season there's no drop rounds, but double points for the final.
Okay, music to my ears. That's what
I was going to say. You're sitting pretty now, Brenton Hobson. There's no doubt about that. And so obviously next week consistency is the key, and either finishing. If you finish ahead of Dennis, game over. But if you finish behind, it's you've got a little bit of leeway there.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the points look like after tonight and do a little bit of maths. I'm not really that organised of a guy, but all things considered, I think maybe I might be on the calculator before the start of the race next week just to see what I need to do to hold him off. I mean, the car has proven every round up until tonight that it hasn't been that competitive. I've done billions of laps around here at this track. I love it. It's a great track for me. This is Imola I'm talking about.
Yep.
And we recently raced the V8 supercars here in the Premier Series, the top series of V8s in Australia. So I've recently done a lot of laps around here in a car that isn't as good. So straight away I felt comfortable tonight. So I'll have the same thing at Bathurst. I've done lots of laps there and I always enjoy the car there, but we'll just have to see whether or not the Merc is up for the challenge.
Indeed. Now, of course, we should point out at this point for the benefit of drivers and viewers at home as well, we do start earlier next Monday night. It will be a 7:20 race because of it being 2 hours instead of the usual 45 minutes. So that will mean a broadcast start of around 7:05, bring your qualifying, launch straight into, in fact, we might even get on earlier than 7 o'clock so that we can bring you the whole qualifying session.
And we also had Pro and Pro-Am in the same speed.
Yeah,